Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Matt, and today, well, over the course of the next few weeks, I aim for us to make a card game. Now, I'm looking for this to be a trading card game, or as coined by Fantasy Flight, a living card game. If you don't know what a living card game is, it is a game where certain packs are released, but all of the cards inside that pack are exactly the same. So unlike, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, they do random booster packs. So you will open a pack, you are guaranteed to get maybe one rare or something, but everything else in that pack is completely random. In a living card game, when you open up a new box, the cards in that box are going to be the exact same whether you open it or whether your friend buys it and opens it. They'll always be the same. I haven't quite decided which sort of model we're going for. Unfortunately, I have some bad news. There is a stage that you have to go through before you can get to the fun of drawing and making cards and game assets and chits and all of that. And that's the planning phase. Unfortunately, it sucks. It really sucks. But it is important and it is necessary. So I have decided for our first game that we're going to be making a pirate sort of collect the loot or destroy the enemy ship type game. The most important thing, I think, to begin with is knowing your game's objective. Knowing whether or not you are attacking the enemy or attacking a certain amount of minions or cards or getting a certain resource, and knowing that before you go into your rules definitions and your rules concepts is pretty much vital to knowing if you're heading in the right direction. For example, as you can see now, I'm working on the card layout. I didn't need to do that. I needed to flesh out the rules a bit more. Everything I put in red is something that I'm unsure of if I'm happy with that as a concept. So I put it in red, and that reminds me to come back and look at it, or potentially test the game, see if it's any good, and then come back. So far, we have the cash in phase. So this is a phase where you get your resource to spend on cards. For example, mana in Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering and things like that. Fellow YouTubers, Chaos Galaxy, that has starts in it. So the cash in phase gets a number of coins. I haven't defined how many because that will be found out in playtesting, and that is a currency that you can spend on other cards. The cards in the game so far, as planned, are crew cards, which will be your minions, your people, your little creatures that you can use to attack each other. You have ship upgrades that will include things like your cannons and your sails and all of that. Those are your sort of your permanents, your enchantments, your artifacts from Keyforge, that sort of thing. And then the other card, which I can totally remember. But yeah, like the ship upgrade cards can be purchased with coin, and the crew cards can either be purchased with coin or a resource called Renown. Renown being if you have a really expensive pirate on your ship, for example, I don't know, a Captain Jeff. Captain Jeff will allow you each turn to have, say, 3 Renown. And that Renown enables you to purchase lower members of the crew. So that is the cash in phase. That's where you tally up how much of each resource you get. Then there's the draw cards, where you will draw either one card or up to a hand limit, depending on which one works for the flow of the game. And then you have the use cards, or the recruit phase. And that is just getting all of your resources and paying for any of the cards in your hand. So that would be, spawning in monsters in Hearthstone, or playing a spell or whatever. You use up your finite resource to use the card in your hand. Then there are 2 sort of attacking phases. The first I have called the battle phase. If you have any suggestions for a better name, this is the sort of ship-on-ship combat. Like the Pirates of the Caribbean sort of ships swirling around each other, firing volleys at each other. That is the battle phase. and that is where you can use your ship weapons as upgrades to directly attack the opponent's ship, as is one of the win conditions, or you can attack their crew and get them to do something called hit the deck, where they basically tap their creature, they turn their creature sideways. That crew member can no longer be used in the next phase, so it's a good way to sort of pin your enemy down so they can't do much. Or you can attack their upgrades directly, so if they've got an upgrade that's spawning them 1 or 2 loot every turn, and obviously one of the win conditions is to collect a certain amount of loot, well, then you might want to destroy that piece or that upgrade, stop them from being able to win as easily. And then they will do the same. They might think that your cannons are giving them a hard time, so they will attack your cannons and things like that. I think it's important to write all this stuff down, especially as it comes to you, as your brain starts spiraling down that sort of rabbit hole. Write it all down, because then when you come to it next time, you will have all of this information that you might not be able to recall simply from memory. So as much as it's boring, and as much as we'd all like to just get in and make, cards as soon as possible, write it down. Get your plan out of your head onto paper in a way that you could show it to somebody else, and they would be like, okay, yeah, I get that, is my advice at least. So that is the battle phase and a rant or ramble. And then there is the board phase. Now the board phase is where you use your crew to directly attack the opponent's crew. You put forward which creatures you want to attack. The enemy or the opponent can put forward which creatures or which crew members they want to defend with. You check the health of your crew members against the damage of their crew members. They do the same. And then the damage is taken off of the health, and if it's equal to or less than 0, well, then their crew member dies, or your crew member dies, and is removed from the game. If the attackers have crew members left after the boarding phase, then you have 2 actions currently. They might change it, they might not. And those 2 actions are, you can deal your crew's damage directly to the hull or to an upgrade. So if you have 3 crew members that survive and you want to take out their cannons, you can deal your damage to it. If you want to take out their hull, you can deal 1 or 2 points of damage to it. Or each crew member can take 1 loot from the ship's cargo hold. And obviously, as I said, loot is a way to win in the game, so being able to stop your opponent from having that resource is very valuable. Now, I did get to a part where I realized I wasn't 100% sure how you get loot in the first place. So I put a big red note that says, how do you get loot to begin with? And I'm thinking either there are instant use cards that just get played, and they will say, you get 2 loot, you get 5 loot, or whatever. Maybe upgrades that generate loot each turn, that sort of thing. So you can build a deck around either having loot or focusing more on firepower, trying to take your enemy down, that sort of route. It's entirely up to you. Now, another important thing, I think, once you've figured out your phases and roughly how the rules work, it doesn't have to be precise. For example, my documents have plenty of question marks, and instead of values, I've put the hash key, just indicate that there is a number of this. I don't know what that number is, but there is a number of it. The next thing I think you should work on is the card layout. This will help us immensely in the next step. The next step being making the bases of our card. So for the crew, I decided, first off, write out which cards you need. There's no point making all of one card, then all of the next card, then all of the next card, because some of the cards will have features that cross over. So, for example, I decided that I need the crew and the upgrade cards, and I know that I want a name for the crew member. I have their cost, which is how much coin or renown you need to be able to spawn that creature or that crew member. I have an image or a space for an image, and we'll get on more about not actually including artwork yet. Then there's text, including their keywords and their special abilities and that sort of thing. Their damage, how much health they will remove in a fight. Health, how much damage they can take. And their renown, how much renown this card generates to be able to purchase further crew members and features. And then we have the upgrade cards, which, like I said, have a lot of the similar features. They have the name, just like the crew did. They have a cost, they have an image, they have text of any special abilities or anything. They have damage if they are a weapon, if they are, a cannon, for example. And then they have durability, which is exactly the same as health. It's just called something different, which I might change the name of so that it's easier and quicker to understand. So instead of in the rules, the rules book, instead of saying the crew member's health is here and the upgrade's durability is here, which might confuse people, I might just change it both to health. It's a design feature I'll have to test. Okay guys, I'm going to have to cut the video short there. I didn't actually intend for this to go over 10 minutes, so I apologize about that. Thank you very much for sticking it out to the end if you did. I hope you found some of this useful or at least interesting. So if you did, leave a like so that I can tell. And if you have any comments, questions, or tips for future videos, please do let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.